JBN, we keep you informed. I am Michelle Jones, and in the news, police constable in Manchester double murder and robbery probe released. A police constable was in custody in relation to an ongoing investigation into crimes, including a double murder and armed robberies in Manchester in recent days, has been released. Sources say the policeman was questioned and subsequently released on Tuesday night. The constable is not assigned to the Manchester division. 4 suspects, including 2 teenagers, were apprehended by the police at a roadblock minutes after the latest robbery of a supermarket in Porus on Friday night. Meanwhile, a Chinese national who operated the supermarket and another man were killed by gunmen during the robbery. Following investigations, the policeman was taken into custody. Spanish town woman allegedly stabs boyfriend to death. A 27-year-old woman has been charged with murder in relation to the stabbing death of her boyfriend. Shakira Brailsford of Carlitz Road in Spanish Town, St. Catherine, is accused of fatally stabbing Tegan Honeygun, otherwise called Nika, a 35-year-old construction worker of Marchman Road in Spanish Town, during an argument Tuesday. Reports are that about 5:50 a.m., Honeygun was at home with his girlfriend when an argument developed between them. The argument got physical, and a ratchet knife was used to stab Honeygun in the chest. The police were summoned, and the body of the now deceased was seen lying on its back with what appeared to be a wound to the chest. Brailsford was subsequently arrested and charged. Taxi operator shot dead in Manchester. Police are probing the murder of a taxi operator at his home near the northeast Manchester southern Trelawney border on Tuesday night. The deceased has been identified as 46-year-old Fitzroy King, otherwise called Brother or Dougie. A police report said King was gunned down around 8 p.m. On arrival, cops found King lying in a pool of blood. He was taken to hospital where he was pronounced dead. Statistics from the police show that up to December 12, Manchester recorded 54 murders since the start of the year, compared to 32 for the corresponding period last year. Manchester man accused of cutting spouse's throat during dispute. A man has been charged with wounding with intent after a domestic dispute with his spouse in Downs District, Manchester, on Tuesday, November 29. Charged is 29-year-old Channing Smith. Reports are that about 6:45 a.m., Smith and the complainant were at home when a dispute developed. During the melee, Smith allegedly used a knife to cut the complainant on her shoulder and also on the throat. Chef gets life for killing teen. A St. Andrew man who shot and killed a high school student who he was having a relationship with will have to spend over 20 years in prison for the crime. Amar Fairweather, 31, was sentenced to life in prison and ordered to serve 23 years in prison before he is eligible for parole. Fairweather, a chef, was also sentenced to 10 years in prison for illegal possession of firearm and 7 years for illegal possession of ammunition. The sentences were imposed by Justice Vinette Graham Allen in the Home Circuit Court yesterday. The charges stemmed from the shooting death of Osamarty Technical High School student Denise Hume, 15, 4 days before Christmas in 2017. Fairweather pleaded guilty to the charges in October. Prosecutor Andrew Martin Swaby led evidence in court that Hume was killed after she sent Fairweather a text message ending their relationship. According to the evidence, Hume was at Seaview Gardens, sent Andrew home with other family members on December 21, preparing for Christmas. Fairweather entered the yard and was seen going inside a room with a pistol. Shortly after, a loud explosion was heard coming from the room. When relatives rushed into the room, the 15-year-old was seen on the ground with blood running from her head and Fairweather standing over her body with a gun in his hand. Fairweather was asked why he killed her and responded, "I know me kill her, she a idiot as she kill herself." He was then asked if she was dead and replied, "She must dead." The accused then retrieved a spent casing, put it in his pocket and fled the area. Teenager charged for fatal stabbing in St. Mary. A 17-year-old boy has been charged with murder after he allegedly stabbed a teen at a beach in Paggy District, St. Mary on Sunday. Dead is Rushawn Scott, otherwise called Rush, a 16-year-old student of Cox Street in the parish. Reports from the St. Mary police are that about 3:30 p.m. Scott and a group of friends were at the beach when the assailant, along with his friends, approached him regarding a long-standing feud. An altercation developed, and a ratchet knife was reportedly used to stab Scott in his chest. Scott was taken to hospital where he died while undergoing treatment. The 17-year-old was charged after an interview. His court date is being finalized. Russian charge for Palisadoes Quartet road deaths. Alexis Istev, the Russian involved in Sunday's fatal road crash along the Palisadoes main road in Kingston, has been charged with 4 counts of causing death by dangerous driving. Superintendent Tommy Lee Chambers, head of the Kingston Eastern Police Division, confirmed this on Wednesday afternoon. Istev has been offered bail. His first court appearance will be on January 18. 2 men and 2 women were in a taxi that as a result of injuries they sustained. All 4 were residents of Seaview Gardens, Kingston. They are Rose Roberts Banton, 54 years, Zachary Eslop, 18 years, Delroy Grant, 53 years, and Camille Grant, 53 years. Hull-riddled Milk River Road blamed for traffic death. The family of crash victim Dahomey Ford is blaming deplorable road conditions for Saturday's fatal collision along the Milk River main thoroughfare in Clarendon. Reports are that about 1:30 p.m., the 24-year-old was driving a young motorcycle towards Yorktown when he collided with a Toyota Probox motor car traveling in the opposite direction. Ford was thrown from the motorcycle and sustained several injuries. The driver of the motor car was also injured. Both were taken to the hospital, where Ford died whilst being treated. Ford's uncle, Donovan Drummond, put the blame at the feet of the state. If the road in a better condition, him wouldn't dead, because they wouldn't see each other. But you see the potholes major, because drivers are turning from potholes and turning right in you. If the road in a better condition, that wouldn't happen, Drummond contended. He also called for overgrown vegetation to be cleared from the roadway. Referencing the mangled state of his nephew's motorcycle, Drummond said it was unlikely that Ford could have made it out alive. According to Drummond, his deceased nephew, an electrician and father of 1, was well loved in the Ogimimi-Bit community. Compounding Ford's relatives' grief is the fact that the tragedy involves another family with whom they share a good relationship. Drummond said the driver of the motor car and Ford were also good friends. The whole we are one. It hot. We have to hold the fort and live good again. As she mal to a partner with, said Drummond. The incident marks a deja vu for the family, as Ford had been charged for causing death by dangerous driving 4 years ago in Yorktown. However, Drummond believes his nephew was not culpable of blame in that incident. Counsel Carlton Bailey, who heads the Milk River Division, acknowledged the subpar road conditions. Bailey said that Ford was a promising young man. Similar sentiments were voiced by Lutheran Cousins, Member of Parliament for Clarendon Southwestern, who expressed sympathy for the family. Cousins said that work along the roadway had commenced days before the fatal crash. Up to December 9, a total of 35 people were killed in Clarendon, 6 more than for the corresponding period in 2021. At least 448 people have been killed on the nation's roads since the start of the year. Last year's 487 road deaths was a national record. Cabinet offers January 31 traffic ticket payment deadline to wipe slate clean. Motorists have 48 days to clear their traffic ticket arrears if they want to capitalize on an effective amnesty that ends on January 31, 2023. If paid in time, demerit points generated after February 1, 2018 will be expunged. The government has also pledged to wipe from the slate all infractions committed on February 1, 2018 or earlier. The disclosure made by the Office of the Prime Minister OPM Tuesday night will be viewed as a victory for bus and taxi operators who lobbied for a payment plan to be implemented to spare drivers who had racked up reams of tickets. The new Road Traffic Act is expected to come into force next February. Legislative steps will be taken to render all demerit points and tickets occurred up to February 1, 2018 null, and as such, they'll not be transitioned to the RTA 2018, OPM said in a statement. Provided that the tickets occurred after February 1, 2018 are paid before February 1, 2023, demerit points will be expunged upon the implementation of the RTA 2018. The new Road Traffic Act RTA is expected to come into force next February. Legislative steps will be taken to render all demerit points and tickets occurred up to February 1, 2018 null, and as such, they'll not be transitioned to the RTA 2018, OPM said in a statement. Provided that the tickets occurred after February 1, 2018 are paid before February 1, 2023, demerit points will be expunged upon the implementation of the RTA 2018. The traffic ticket concession could reap millions of dollars for the Treasury, as Justice Minister Delroy Chuck said in July that more than 1 million traffic tickets remain outstanding over the last 5 years. A taxi driver who operates on Windward Road, Kingston, and who has 101 outstanding tickets is elated at the news. His arrears exceed $130,000. I feel good. This is more than a relief. Most of my tickets are from 2013 and 2010, the cabinet said on Tuesday night. Cabinet said there will be greater efficiency with a fully digitized process with the new traffic ticket management system. There was a rash of fatal crashes in the island on the weekend, with Jamaica's annual record of 487 road deaths registered in 2021 in danger of being exceeded. As at December 31, the Road Safety Unit recorded 455 crash deaths. Antigua's DPP refused stay of proceedings in its fraud case. Parish Judge Venice Blackstock Murray on Tuesday morning refused an application to stay proceedings against Antigua's Director of Public Prosecutions, Anthony Armstrong, who is charged with fraud. The charges stem from the sale of 3 properties in St. Andrew between 1999 and 2002, in which Armstrong had represented the client who was the vendor. Armstrong contends that the proceeds of the sale were paid over to the complainant's father, who he had authorized to be his agent while he was incarcerated in the USA. Lead attorney at law Hugh Wildman had made submissions asking for charges against Armstrong to be thrown out and for the proceedings to be stayed on the grounds that it was an abuse of process. The lawyer argued that there was a long delay in his client being charged, lack of or non-existent evidence, and prosecutorial misconduct, but the judge, in delivering the ruling in the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court, said all the grounds preferred by the defense team had failed. Wildman, in seeking to have the case terminated in the parish court, had also argued that his client was already vindicated by the General Legal Counsel, JLC. The lawyer submitted that while the council's disciplinary committee had found Armstrong guilty of professional misconduct for witnessing a document for a client who was not present, it had not found him guilty of any wrongdoing. Wildman maintained that Armstrong acted on the instructions of the complainant and that he was not the one who sold the properties. According to him, the properties were sold by the complainant's cousin, Shelley Peart Campbell, who is charged along with Armstrong. The judge, however, ruled that the court could not consider the JLC's ruling as it is duty-bound to be independent and must not consider any external factors. The judge concluded that there are issues that must be ventilated in a trial where the facts can be determined. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.